Good day, everyone, and to our beloved instructor, Mr. Anthony Gamali. Good day, sir. I'm first of all, I am Luigi Auditor, BS Criminology 3. So, I will discuss about human rights. So, what are human rights? Human rights can be defined as those basic standards without which people cannot live in dignity as human beings. Human rights are the foundation of freedom, justice, and peace. So, each one of us have right and freedom to do what we want to do. But that rights have limitation because we also need to follow the law, which brings justice and fair treatment to everyone. So, the development of human rights has its in the struggle for freedom and equality everywhere in the world. So it faces struggle because every country have different beliefs, norms, cultures, and government. They are proclaimed in the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, documents such as the International Conventions of Human Rights set out what governments must do and also what they must not do to respect the rights of their citizen. So, so the government have a role in order to avoid conflicts in enforcing the law that can also respect the rights of their citizen. So, characteristic of human rights. First, human rights do not have to be brought, earned, or inherited. They belong to people simply because they are human. Human rights are inherent to each individuals. So, human rights belongs to me, to you, to everyone. From my birth until I get old, from my children and until the next generation of human race, there will always be rights that we will bring forever. There are always right. So human rights, number two, human rights are the same for all human beings, regardless of race, sex, religion, political, or other opinion, national or other opinion, national or social origin. We are all born free and equal in dignity and rights. Human rights are universal. So, human rights are universal because everywhere we go, we are protected by our rights and respected by every country. Good. So, the UDHR, which means Universal Declaration of Human Rights, the most widely accepted statement of human rights in the world is in is the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, which are UDHR. So its core message is the inherent value of every human being. The declaration was anonymously adopted on December 10, 1948 by the United Nations. So it sets out a list of basic rights for everyone in the world, whatever their race, color, sex, language, religion, political and other opinion, national or social origin, properly birth or other status. It states that governments have promised to uphold certain rights not only for their own citizen but also for the people in their countries. So, wait lang.
Go.
So, number three, human rights cannot be taken away. No more has the right to deprive another person of them for any reason. People still have human rights even when the laws of their countries do not recognize them, or when they violate them. For example, when slavery is practiced, slaves still have rights even though these rights are being violated. So, human rights are inalienable. Number four, to live in dignity, all human beings are entitled to freedom, security, and decent standards of living. Concurrently, human rights are invisible. We move to categories of rights. Rights can be put into three categories. So first is civil and political rights, also called first generation rights. These are liberty oriented and include the rights to life, liberty, and security of the individuals, freedom from torture and slavery, political and participation, freedom of opinion, freedom of association, expression, thought, conscience, and religion. So, example, during our during our election, we have the right to vote for our choosing political leader. So, we move to number two. Economic and social rights, also called second generation rights. These are security oriented rights. For example, the rights to work, education, a reasonable standard of living, food, shelter, and health care. So, legal status. Even though the UDHR is the inspiration for most international human rights law, it is not itself a legally binding document. However, as a general statement of principles, it does have power in the world of public opinion. Its principles have been translated into legal force in the form of the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights, which means ICCPR, and the International Covenant on Economic, Social, and Cultural Rights. Countries that have ratified these covenants commit themselves to making laws in their country to protect these human rights. However, over half the countries of the world have not ratified the ICCPR or the ICEC is CR. So, these are also regional human rights instruments inspired by the UDHR, such as the African Charter on Human and People's Rights, the European Convention of Human Rights, and the American Convention on Human Rights.